All right, middle of conference, Greg Miller, SFAVolleyBlog.net, Southland Conference Digital Network. Privateers of New Orleans are in town to start the second half of SFA slate. And got a great guest today, Kaitlyn Grice, who's been block leader in the Southland for the last 2 years, is willing to sit down and chat with us. So hope you learn a little bit more about UNO and Kaitlyn. So first, Kaitlyn, thanks for being willing to sit down and chat today.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
One of the things I want to ask you is about this is your senior year. So have you allowed yourself to think about yet what it might be like on senior night with your fellow seniors or anything like that? Have you tried to like push that out of your mind, or have you kind of embraced that?
I haven't thought about it too much, just focused on what's right in front of me, but I'm really looking forward to it and being surrounded by friends and family, for sure.
One of the things I noticed when I first started watching you play, when I read your bio, and when you were a freshman, worked one of your games in the Southland Conference tournament, was that your mom played volleyball. So how is being raised by somebody who was a college athlete help you prepare for you doing that?
She's definitely played a major role in my life from an early age. She got me into the sport. My grandma also played volleyball, so it's just been around the family for a long time. And she's pushed me to be the athlete that I am and to never give up and really work hard for what I want.
When it became more clear at the end of your high school and club days that you had the ability to play NCAA D1, did your mom have any specific advice about the college process since she had gone through that?
She just really wanted to make sure that wherever I decided to go that I was happy with and that was fully my decision, and she supported whatever I chose to do.
So tell me a little bit of the story of how you got from Florida, right? Because you're not from Louisiana, you're not from Texas, you're from Florida. Tell a little bit about when you first got aware of New Orleans volleyball, and what was the process of getting from Florida over to South Louisiana?
Well, I received a letter in the mail from University of New Orleans, which I'd actually never heard of before. So, and I looked into it, and I just decided I really liked what the campus looked like and figured I'd go up for a visit. And when I met Coach V in person, I just really liked her, and I really loved the girls on the team, and the professors there were really nice, and just everything about the campus I loved. It's right on the lakefront, so it reminded me of home because I was close by the water, and it wasn't too big of a campus, so I just really liked everything about it and felt at home.
What was, do you remember when you first got to UNO, you mentioned some of the similarities, being by the water and lake and things. Was there anything about being in New Orleans or at UNO that was particularly different about growing up in Florida?
Definitely the culture there is very diverse and different than back home, but it was a good change. I really liked it, and everybody there is really nice, and the food's really good. So definitely those things.
Yeah, I've already got my list for when we make the return trip over to you guys next month. Okay, so let's get into volleyball now. When you came to UNO, your freshman season was the best season that New Orleans volleyball has had in 10, 15 years. You won 19 games. You're in the Southland Conference tournament, 5th seed, played McNeese. And then the following year, your sophomore season, the team was 5-25. What do you feel like changed? What did you feel incomplete after that? I mean, sometimes when athletes start off with such a great season and then they have a season that was a little bit of a downer, did that affect you as a player? So answer both of those. Did that affect you, your mental mindset, and what sort of changed from one season to another?
My freshman year, we had a lot more seniors and a lot more leadership, so I think that was a big part of it, the change from freshman to sophomore year. And I'm sorry, what was the second question?
So did you feel like that you come off of a high? What did you have to do to kind of make sure that mentally you didn't get too low after only 5 wins out of 30 matches?
I think a big part of it is just really trying to stay as positive as we can. And for me, it was just doing everything I can to help out the team in any way possible, whether it's offense or blocking. Yeah, that's the big part of it.
Have you felt like over the last 2 years, each of the team has statistically done better? And I think UNO turned some heads early in this year, some good quality wins. you guys have, I think back about wins over HBU and over Northwestern State, teams that were picked ahead of you. Have you feel like that maybe the team is ascending back to potentially that level that you saw when you first came?
Definitely. I think we're definitely starting to get our confidence back after a couple losses and fighting hard and trying to find ways to win. We're just really working hard on closing games now and just staying aggressive and working hard to finish.
So you mentioned closing games. Last night when you guys came in here to practice, one of the things I talked to Coach Van Norden about, you played Abilene Christian within the last couple weeks. There were 2 sets in that match that went extras that you lost. You played Sam Houston, who only has 1 loss, and you got ahead of them, and were ahead in the second set. So what does have to happen to finish those out? You talked about closing. What collectively as a team have you got to do to make sure you do close if that happens tonight or against UCA?
We need to stay aggressive and stay confident, stay calm, trust each other that we're going to do our jobs, and just believe that we can, not get tense, just stay calm and loose.
You have 7 conference games remaining. You come into this match tonight at 4-5. Of those 7 games, 4 of them are against Stephen F. Austin in Central Arkansas. Your 2 this week, and then travel partners will be to your place in November. Has the team talked about the difference in the schedule? Has that been something that you're consciously aware of? Is that your schedule is backloaded in a sense?
We're definitely aware of it, and Coach V told us to play every game as if for fighting for our postseason. This is where we have to really work hard, and we know we're coming down to the end, so we're definitely aware.
I want to talk about some individual numbers here. Part of doing what I do, I mill through a ton of numbers. Your freshman year, you had 95 blocks. Your sophomore year, you had 81 blocks. Last year, you had 133 blocks that led the Southland Conference in total blocks. This year, you have 117 blocks. And I'm just going to ask you, are you aware that that's 4th highest in the NCAA?
I am aware, yes.
Okay. So 4th highest total in NCAA D1 volleyball, 117. What along the way, because all those numbers are fantastic. I mean, if a middle blocker puts up 95 blocks in a season, that's an excellent season. But the big jump last year and the huge jump this year, you're on pace for over 150 blocks. And if you finish in the 150s, you'll have the 5th highest total in the Southland over a decade. What improved the most along there? Because the numbers have always been good, but what about your game in terms of blocking really got it to where you elevated to be one of, if not the top blocking MB in the conference?
Part of that, I think, comes from improving my strength, my shoulder strength, definitely over the years. And also the girls by my side when I'm up blocking, like the block assists, they've definitely helped me get my numbers up with that and helping me set the blocks and stuff. So they're definitely part of it.
So what could you cite specifically in terms of shoulder strength? Like what would you do? Is that a different workout routine? Is that a different weight routine? What specifically made you feel like you were stronger in your upper body?
We've been doing a lot of push presses and pull downs and pull ups to really strengthen our scaps, and I've just really been focusing on sealing the net more. When I came in my freshman year, I barely lifted or did any strength exercises, so just every year improving and my weight going up has helped with that, definitely.
Okay, so you're at a point in your career where that type of thing, weight training, can make a big difference. But there have to have been times where younger players have come to watch you play. I have a colleague who has a junior high age girl. She's tall for her age, and she wants to play volleyball, and she's quote unquote built like a middle blocker. So she got pegged there on a junior high team. What would your advice be to that young gal who's 12, 13, who's learning how to play middle blocker, first club experience, first junior high experience? What are the first skills you'd want to see in a young player develop into your position?
Definitely lateral speed, working to close the block on the pins is big, and just working on pressing over the net instead of reaching high. Because I know for me, when I first started, I just wanted to reach as high as I can, but that might not necessarily be what you need. You just need to seal and get across into their space to close the block.
Where in the development of a middle blocker does it first come the idea of not just lateral movement, but actually reading setters and hitters?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah, like, you have the ability to see a play develop and read what you see out of the opposing setter and have a feel for where the ball might go. Or you might even see a tendency in an attacker and then adjust your block. Where in a blocker's development does that come? That doesn't sound like something that a 12-year-old girl would be able to do, but at what point did you feel like you got better at seeing opposing tendencies and then reacting to them?
For me, I think it really clicked my senior year of club volleyball and going into my freshman year of college. Definitely took a lot of practice and getting used to it and just being in the game for me to master that part of it. I know, like, my coach tells me the sequence to follow the ball is ball setter, ball hitter, and I still tell myself that up at the net every day to track the ball and figure out where it's going to close the block.
And last, one of the things that I think everybody is aware of in your game is the attack percentage. You led the Southland Conference in attack percentage last year. We were watching that carefully because one of our players, Mackenzie Hanna, was right neck and neck with you there at the end. You hit 349 last year, and you're at 346 this year. That's unbelievable consistency. That's a skill more than just being able to do one or two things right. So what do you chalk up to that? Why is it that you're so much more efficient than other players at your position?
Definitely has to do with my setter connection. She knows how to set me well, and she sees who's on the other side of the net and when is the appropriate time to set me and when it isn't. So if she sees I have two blockers up, to go to somebody else because it'll be harder for me to get the point at that time. And a big part is just using my peripheral vision to see what's open on the court. If I have two blockers up, or if I only have one and can swing hard, or if I see the liberos up short, I can go deep corner. It's just stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it's stuff like that that makes a great attacker. One of when I reviewed numbers, and this is amazing to me, for 2 years you've averaged less than 2 attack errors per match. For 2 years, less than 2 attack errors per match. Do you have a particular favorite play to run? I mean, would you rather, all things equal, would you rather run sort of like a quick A, or would you rather slide, or what would be your favorite attack?
My favorite is probably the quick. We call it a yes, but it's a one set right in front of the setter in transition, because a lot of the times it's too quick for the blocker on the other side to front me, and I have a pretty open net, so that's my favorite play.
What would be the play that you'd say that through your career, let's just say in system, but when you're running, what would be the play you've had to work on the most, like the shot that maybe when you came into college, that particular play wouldn't have been your favorite, that you've had to work on footwork the most, or transitioning the most, or getting to that spot the most?
Either the A or the slide approach I've had to work on the most. Really getting my height off the 1 foot approach has been what I've been working on.
University of New Orleans comes in 4-5 in the Southland Conference, and they'll take a trip to Conway after this match. SFA will meet back up with New Orleans right before the Southland Conference tournament starts. And UNO in the mix right now. They do have a spot. They've got a tough schedule, but with Grice in the middle, I think they got a great shot. Kaitlyn, thanks being willing to answer these questions. Good luck tonight against SFA, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.